Teach me about the Great Lakes. Teach me about the Great Lakes. Welcome back to Teach Me About the Great Lakes, an exactly twice monthly podcast in which I, a Great Lakes novice, ask people who are smarter and harder working than I am to teach me all about the Great Lakes. My name is Stuart Carlton, and I work with Illinois Indiana Sea Grant, and I'm thrilled to be joined today by a two-pack of co-hosts. First, our senior history correspondent, Ethan Chitty. Ethan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm great. Ethan's a new co-host, so he gets first billing, but we're so glad to have you on. And we're so glad to have you back in action after your little break. And Ethan wasn't suspended, people. It was a personal matter, but a joyful personal matter. We're also joined today by our strategic communicator, Miss Strategy herself, Renie Miles. How are you?
I'm good, Stuart. It's another beautiful September morning.
Is it? Yeah. It was like 54 here, but the good kind of 54, right? You want a nice backbone of 78 if you're going to have a 54.
Keep it as the base, right?
Yeah, right. If that's the base, it's good. Yeah.
Good day to sit on the porch and drink a cup of coffee as the sun comes up.
Yep, that it is. Sitting on the porch and drinking is something I intend to do very soon. No, that's totally true. Yeah, glad to be back. So today we'll get to our guest in a minute, but first we have a handful of announcements. The first announcement is this: we are just moments away from scheduling our book club discussion of Death and Life of the Great Lakes by Dan Egan. So if you haven't read that book yet, go ahead and read it. And we're going to reach out via social media and others for your comments. You can send us a comment, via email, teachmeaboutthegreatlakes@gmail.com, or you can put it on our hotline, which is 765-496-IISG. So if you have questions or comments, please do that. But if you haven't read it yet, please go ahead and read it, because we're going to get that. I think that's going to finally be in October. I've been saying this summer for a while, and I think October is reasonably included within the summer, at least when it comes to these purposes here. So if you haven't read it, read it. It's really, really good, really interesting book. I have lots of quibbles, but I'm excited to talk about it. But I also learned a lot, so it's good. And then the second big announcement is the Lakeys. Renie, are you fired up about the Lakeys?
Oh, man. I'm an award show junkie, so there you go.
Yeah, I've already got my little black dress that I'm going to wear to it. And so the Lakeys are, if you are not familiar, because this is the first time you've listened, go back and listen to the last 40 episodes. But if you don't feel like doing that just now, the Lakeys are our annual, starting this year, awards ceremony that we are calling possibly not the least prestigious Great Lakes-based award show that there is. And I'm willing to stick to that. And so what we're doing is we're accepting nominations for a variety of categories, things like Great Lakes News of the Year, Great Lakes Outreach Program of the Year, Great Lakes Scientific Paper of the Year, Great Lakes Animal of the Year. Right now, that's a very contentious one. Great Lakes Animal of the Year, Great Lakes Non-Animal of the Year for everything that's not an animal. And then, of course, Great Lakes Sandwich of the Year, Great Lakes Donuts of the Year, and other things like that. So we want you to go nominate somebody for the Lakeys or nominate a program. Do it right now. Look in the show notes for the link, but just go to bit.ly.com/Lakeys21. That's LAKIES 21. And nominate something for Lakeys. You can nominate for as many or as few categories as you want. And we're going to throw all those into the hopper. And then we are going to, through a process that is yet to be determined, come up with a series of Lakeys Winter. And that'll be probably our last episode of the year. So time's getting short. So if you have a great program, go nominate it. But so what I want to do today is I'd like to feature some of the nominees, right? Because I'm learning about all kinds of cool stuff. And so today's nominee that I'm going to feature is the Clean Lakes Alliance, which was recently nominated for Outreach Program of the Year. And so you can go to cleanlakealliance.org and see their website. And so it's a nonprofit dedicated to the improvement and protection of lakes, streams, and wetlands in the Yahara River watershed. And I'll be honest, I had not heard of the Yahara River, but that's the river that goes through like all the lakes that are in Madison, Wisconsin. So that's a river there. And so they work on community awareness issues and things like that. But what I really love, and so they partner with government and with businesses and nonprofits and things like that. But when you go to their website, they have a couple of cool things. So what I'm looking at now is it looks like a newsroom post or whatever they call it. Photographers share their view of our watershed. So go click on that. Renie, you're into photography. Are you there now?
I'm not. I mean, I'm on the site.
Check this out. So here's a cool picture of Jaeger Park. No, that's not the cool one. That is cool. But the Ramers Cove, there we go, about 3 down, beside a frozen Lake Mendota. And I look at that and I'm like, man, winter isn't my bag, but boy, is that beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Very nice.
A lot of beautiful. So they have all these, these are some good
Yeah,
photographers.
with nice colors. Yeah.
Some beautiful photography here. So even if you're not in the area, I know. I was telling you about the wrong thing. That's why. Let me do that. I was looking at the hidden gems. The photographers have, some beautiful photos, like some aerial shots. Some really neat aerial shots of Madison, I think. Yep. But then if you go to the hidden gems, which is another kind of newsroomy post, that's where you see the Raymer's Cove. And it's got this cool, it's like water cascading down into ice, or it's just ice. And it's like, okay, winter stinks, but that's pretty nice.
Yeah, but it can be beautiful, as we all know.
So anyway, I encourage you to go to cleanlakesalliance.org to, if nothing else, look at the photography and say, this is pretty neat. And it looks like a wonderful site and a wonderful program, but will it win a Lakey? You just have to tune in December to find out.
There's also a what can I do section, which looks to be really helpful in terms of, different activities and opportunities.
Well, you're looking for that. There's also the top 10 ways to help the lakes at home list.
There we go. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see. What can I do? It's in the top menu bar there. So a lot of cool stuff. And I encourage you to check that out. I'm not going to do a drum roll thing like I do because that always just is awkward. So anyway, like I say, the Clean Lakes Alliance, cool website, cool program. Will it win a Lakey? Tune in to find out. All right. Great. So with that, we're going to move on to our guest. And so I'm super fired up today. This is a program that I saw. I was Googling for something. I didn't remember what it was. And I saw this University of Toronto trash team. And it's a group of scientists and outreach people at the University of Toronto working on the issue of trash, both in Toronto and that area, but also in the Great Lakes kind of broader. And so I said, this is near and dear to our hearts. So I thought it'd be cool to bring them on. And so I reached out, and they have a social scientist, so I like it even more. And so we got her to come on. So we'll transition to our guest, and then we'll do it. Let me hit the right one. What are we going to do today? I'll do one of my new ones. Here we go. Our guest today is Dr. Rafaela Gutierrez. She is the program lead for social science and education programs at the University of Toronto Trash Team. She's part of the Department of Ecology and Evolutionary Biology there. Rafaela, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me today.
Oh, we couldn't be more excited. Yeah, I'm always happy to talk trash. So first of all, tell us about the U of T Trash Team. What is that exactly?
So the Trash Team, the University of Toronto Trash Team is a science-based community outreach group. And we are made up of students like undergraduate, graduate students, postdocs, staff, and a lot of local volunteers, all working together with a common goal to increase waste literacy in our community while reducing plastic pollution in our ecosystems.
So what do you mean by science-based there? That's an interesting way to phrase it. What science-based trash team?
Oh, yes, because everything that we do, it's based on science. We have our group, it's made of undergrad and graduate students. So everything that we produce and we study in our labs and our lives, we translate this in the community and outreach in our outreach programs.
So Rafaela, what are some of the things that the trash team does?
So our work falls into 3 areas of focus. So we do community outreach, school programs, and solution-based research. Our local projects use research to inform policy and management, and education and community outreach to increase waste literacy. So we try to engage the public and implement effective solutions. So for example, for our community outreach, we do a range of programs, presentations throughout the year, and we have 2 big cleanups, one in May, we call the Spring Cleanup, and another in September, the Urban Leader Challenge that will happen this weekend. And for solutions-based research, we have projects where we use science and research to help inform solutions. So we have many individual research happening. For example, we have one that we call Home Waste Audit. That's a 4-week challenge to learn about waste streams in our municipality as we increase our own waste footprint. We have fighting floatables in Toronto Harbor. We collaborate with the Ports Toronto and also TRCA on local research and technological solutions to prevent and clean up floating plastics and another litter in our harbor front. We also have pollution prevention projects. And one of those, I work with that. So one of these projects is about single-use foodware. And I'm leading research to understand the challenges and opportunities that local business experience when implementing reusable programs. So we want to understand what do local business need to reduce single-use foodware. And so now we are running this project during the summer. So those are one of the projects that we are doing here.
And so single-use foodware, that's like plastic forks and knives and straws and things like that. Is that right? So are you finding is it too early to say, or what are some challenges that businesses have with that?
They are facing a lot of challenges. Price is one of them. Of course, single-use is cheaper. The customers still need to change their mindset. So it's easier for them to just go and grab a disposable cup and then just throw away and don't need to worry about having to wash your cup. So it's still something, it's a cultural thing that we need to change, and that's take time. And also the city of Toronto, they are implementing like a voluntary measurement for business to start to promote these reusable initiatives. So we see that next year, things will hopefully change in the city a little bit.
I have a question about the trash team in general. Is it like, how does it work? Do you have a lot of volunteers as part of the project? And what sort of things would they do? And
yes,
just learn more.
Yes, exactly. We have a very, very big volunteers group. So everything is run by. We have a small staff group that is only Chelsea, Susan, and I, the co-founders of the trash team. And then we had a outreach as well, one specialist, and the rest is all volunteers. So, for example, our school program, now we are starting to engage more students from UFT, from our departments, to be instructors in our grade 5 classrooms. So they are all volunteers, and we have volunteers. A lot of volunteers are from the University of Toronto and from Rockman Lab. So that's our a strong group. But we have volunteers from the city, from different universities, or just people like young scientists or people that's just interested in the topic.
On your home waste audits that you were doing, I noticed that part of that project came out of Great Britain, that some of the research for that came out of Great Britain. So are you guys collecting audit information from the US and Canada and other places as well still?
Yes, exactly. So we run 2 waste audits so far. And the second one, we did a research as well. So what we do is, we gather the people who are interested in change their behavior and learn a little bit more about waste. So we invite them to do a challenge of collecting their waste and counting audit for a month, 4 weeks. So the first week we have a webinar and we explain all the problems of plastic pollution. And then we ask them to count their waste, tally everything that they produce in a week. And then the second week, we encourage them to look into their waste and management stream. So here in the city of Toronto, they can go on their websites and try to find information if they are how to properly dispose of their waste. And then we send a lot of tips to reduce waste. And after that, 4 weeks later, they stop to tally. And then 2 months later, we have another survey asking what's changed. So we have a quantitative analysis. We get all the data and we see if they change the number of waste that they are producing, but also they explain what change they made it. And so it's a very interesting tool that we are using. It's not only outreach, but it's a research as well. And it's really fun to see and that people are learning a little bit about waste and how they can reduce and their problems. So it's a very interesting research. And yeah, so you asked me, the first one, we had people from US, we had some participants from UK as well. So yes, it's not only here in Toronto.
That's interesting. And so most of your research is on the social science side, right? As far as I know, you're interested in policy and sort of improving, it seems largely tied around food waste.
No, it's not all about food waste. We work with, majority of our work is with plastics. Yes.
Okay.
So my biggest role right now is running the school program. So we have, I was explaining, we have like 3 focusing in different areas. And the third one is the school program. So of course, waste literacy is a core to our mission. And so schools were a logical choice for one of our target audience. So we create a school program for grade 5 students. And we have a series of lessons designed to improve scientific and waste literacy, and also foster this curiosity about the natural world and our impacts on the planet and ecosystems and planet. So we create 4 lessons. We talk about plastic cycle, watershed. The second one is watershed and their relationship to litter, impacts of plastic on ecosystems, and solutions to plastic pollution. So we have those lessons that kids will learn how to manage their waste. What's happened they learn about circular and linear economy. And then the second one, the watersheds and sources of pollution and plastic that ended up in the water. So how plastic moves or not move in the water. And then we discuss okay, now it's in the water. What are the impacts in the animals and the wildlife, the ecosystems in general? So we talk about entanglement, ingestion of plastics, and solutions. And then they have they will start to design their own solutions. They will discuss what they can do about it. So they can create some technologies to clean the water. They have different aspects of they can create it. So that's the time that they can have the opportunity to think about their impacts and how they can do something about it.
So you're doing things from all the way from macroplastics down to microplastics with these students, it sounds like. So what is, 2 questions. One is, so the whole shtick with this podcast is that I'm kind of ignorant, and it's a little bit of a shtick, but it's also a little bit true. So I have 2 questions. You can take them in either order. One is, what is the difference between a circular and a linear economy? Pretend that I'm real dumb and don't know that. And then 2 is, I want to hear the coolest plastic solution that you've seen a 5th grader come up with. So whichever of those you prefer to take first. Yeah.
Maybe we can start with the coolest ideas. Well, kids are very creative, and actually many of them had ideas that they already. One of the solutions that they decided to create it was one that we actually have here in the Toronto, and they didn't know. So they know about technology in general. One of them was they want a jet ski go around the city, and they have they have to do certain movements in the water that the coolest movement win, but also they have to collect waste, litter in the water as they are doing their competition of in the water. So I thought was pretty funny.
A jet ski race while collecting. Yeah, it's the best version of Mario Kart. Okay.
Yes. And about linear circular economy, as we teach our students, linear economy is something that we produce, we consume, and we dispose. End of the story. That stop there. And then you have to produce another. If you want to have another plastic water bottle, you need to produce again and consume and dispose and put in the garbage. Or circular economy, it's when it's a circle. Instead of putting their garbage, it goes to the recycling and then goes into the process again.
Keeps everything in the system rather than producing waste at the end, and uses the outputs as inputs. I like it. I hadn't heard that sort of metaphor before, but that's good.
Yeah. So, and in parallel with this study, with this school program, we are running studies to better understand the efficacy of our school program to increase waste literacy among grade 5 students. So we are not only doing this the school program, but we are also running studies to to understand, like access environmental knowledge, attitudes, communication, and self-reported behavior.
This is the cool thing about the trash team, right? Is when I was, this is what attracted me to y'all entirely, is it's an outreach program, yes, which is good, of course, but it's really, the science is really integrated. So you're doing studies kind of just across the thing. That's, what gave y'all the idea to do that? Is it because you were hatched from like a research, lab, right? Or is that kind of how that evolved, or did it evolve in some different way?
Actually, we created the trash team in 2017, and everything about our team started with the idea of bringing a trash wheel to Toronto. I don't know if you have heard about it, but we were inspired by this. So the trash wheel is a big technology to collect litter from water in Baltimore. But with a twist, they have like this giant quirk personality with like giant googly eyes. So it's something that really, really it's super powerful, like to see it. So we love the idea of something that could help clean litter, collect data, and capture the community attention. So while this is still a long-term goal of ours, we don't have a trash wheel here, but we change our plans to instead build an outreach group where programming like the trash wheel could be incorporated. So we decided to go around and start to with our outreach and our science that we have like a very strong base on science or work together.
So Rafaela, I wanted to ask you, it's really difficult to eliminate single-use plastic from your life, and plastic is just like everywhere. Do you find that you ever get overwhelmed by the massiveness of the problem in terms of how we can get to a better place?
Yes, I do. I try not to. And what I say every time, especially when we are like working with kids, and we really need to be positive. And what I always try to say is, don't try to change the world. Like you won't be like zero waste from one day to another. Let's do baby steps, like one step at a time. So when we are talking about reducing waste, let's focus on something that you like. Go to your waste and do your own home waste audit and see what you have in your garbage bin, your recycling bin. What can you eliminate from there? And start with one item and try this for a year. And then when you see that you have a progress, start with another one. So I think this way we can like get some points that we can start to think when it's do home waste audit is super empowering. Like you start to see what you are producing in your home, because sometimes we don't, right? So I think that's the way that I'm trying to do it, and I'm trying to do with my daughter. At least it's a overwhelming situation, and we really need to do a lot of things. Like government needs to take their part, in the industry needs to take their part in doing that. It's not only as an individual that will change everything, but we can definitely start to help and discuss about this.
So if somebody is interested in doing those sort of things, but maybe they're not ready to commit to doing the full home waste audit, are there suggestions that you could give to folks as a way to just start to become more cognizant of those things?
Oh, this is a good question, but hold on. Let's do it this way. I like this question, but it's not obnoxious enough. So here's what we're going to do. So we're going to ask for your top 3 tips for getting started in this. But here's how we're going to do it. I always screw this up. I don't ask it right, and then it's just awkward and embarrassing. So I'm going to try to explain it right, and then it'll be not awkward and not embarrassing. So I will ask you for your number 3 tip, and then we'll do a drum roll, and then you'll name the tip. I'll do a symbol, and then you'll go into more detail. Does that work?
Okay.
So, yeah, trust me. And Quinn, keep all this in so that the audience knows how stupid I am. So they blame me. All right. So your first one is...
reducing consumption.
Reducing consumption. Yes. Tell me about that.
Because by using less plastics, we are not contributing to need for increased production. So if we use less plastic, we have less plastic being produced.
Oh, that's a good point. So if you use less, then yeah, there's less trash. Because even though we talk about that circular economy, there's still waste in that system, right? No matter what.
Yeah, a lot of waste. Yeah.
And we don't have a circular economy regardless. It's extraordinarily linear. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
great. All right. So then your number 2 tip for cleaning up the Great Lakes is
improving waste management at home, in your local areas, in your city. I think we need to improve the way that we are treating our waste.
Yeah. So what do you mean by improve it? What are some improvements?
So at home, we can start to like separate and in the correct bins, put in the recycling the right bins, put in the plastic, clean your waste. But in the city, we need to make sure that we are not leaving plastics or waste ended up in the water. So we need to have better bins in the streets. We have to have a better systems of collection, and we have a better system of recycling as well. So it's a lot to do.
And then your number 3 tip for cleaning up the Great Lakes is
cleaning up pollution from the environment itself. So after reducing consumption, improve waste management, we still have a lot of waste that ended up in the water. So we need to clean up pollution from the environment. Yeah. And have technology to do that.
Those are great. Those are 3 amazing tips. And so a lot of those, so I was thinking about that, and it ties into what you're teaching the students and ties into kind of the long-term things you're trying to do with the trash team, it seems like. So that is good. Well, Rafaela Gutierrez, this is actually really interesting, and I'm so glad you came on to tell us about this, but that's not actually why we invited you here on Teach Me About the Great Lakes this week. The reason that we invited you on Teach Me About the Great Lakes is to ask 2 questions, and those questions are this. All right, first one. If you could choose to have a great donut for breakfast or a great sandwich for lunch, which would you choose?
I would definitely choose a great sandwich for lunch.
Great sandwich for lunch. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a sweet person in the morning, so yeah.
Not a sweet person in the morning. Neither am I
No.
until the coffee kicks in. Then I get very sweet. So, if I'm in Toronto, I assume you're at the Toronto campus, and
Yeah.
so I'm spent the morning cleaning up trash. I've been riding jet skis around, picking trash up, and I come back and I want a great sandwich. Where should I go in Toronto to get a really great sandwich?
Wow, I would say there are a lot of local business here. I cannot pick one. Wouldn't be fair. I eat a lot of sandwich actually in my place. My husband makes a very good sandwich.
Oh, does he?
So
Okay.
if you are here, my husband can make one for you. But we have beautiful and a lot of cafes here in the city that you can enjoy and visit.
So when I'm in Toronto, that's what I'll do. I'll come by your house for a sandwich, and then I'll take a
Yes.
sandwich tour of Toronto,
Yes.
which would be good. And the second question is this. So is there a special place in the Great Lakes you'd like to share with our audience? Like, what's a special place to you, and what makes it special in the Great Lakes?
So that's a great question, actually. I haven't been in all lakes yet, so I cannot tell about all of them. But I am living now in Toronto, and I'm completely in love with Lake Ontario. And I think it's because it's amazing to have like such a huge lake so close to your home. So for me, like doing like regular things like go for a quick bike ride with my family and then stop for swimming, or just enjoy the beach during the summer, or in the winter, see that harbor fronts all frozen. It's like, I completely love just like be here in the city, and it's so democratic. Like everybody can be in the lake, enjoy. You don't need to be like super far, go to a cottage or whatever. You just go here, take a TTC or take a bike, walk, and you are there. So for me, that's very special.
That sounds wonderful. It sounds beautiful to see the city up against a big lake like that.
I
right?
know, it is
it's really
beautiful.
nice. Yeah. We got to go to Toronto, team. I think that's the deal.
You totally should go here. It's an amazing city.
People are all fired up about trash right now. They want to learn more about the trash team. Where should they go to learn more?
Okay, yeah, definitely. You can Google University of Toronto Trash Team. We have a website, ufttrashteam.ca, and we are in social media at UFT Trash Team, like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And there in our website, you can find our information. If you want to send me an email, contact us personally, yes, you can use our website or social media.
Well, Dr. Rafaela Gutierrez is the program lead for social science and educational programs at the U of T Trash Team in the Department of Ecology and Evolutionary Biology, all at the University of Toronto. Thank you so much for coming on and teaching us all about the Great Lakes.
Thank you so much for having me. That was so fun.
It's always fun to hear about how people are dealing with these trash issues, I think. And the trash team, I found their website and I reached out. I said, we have to talk because it's an interesting approach and it's reminiscent of what we do at Sea Grant, right?
Yes, connecting education and outreach to research. That's our bailiwick. Yeah.
Yep, that is our bailiwick. That's our daily Bailey, as I call it. But
well, and the fact that they tie together the research, education, and outreach components matches up well to what we try to do around here.
Yeah, I think that's neat, and I think they're still working on the research end, but I can't wait to see the papers that come out of it. I think there'll be a lot of knowledge to build because it's a complicated. Well, I mean, shoot, this is about our third or fourth episode where we've talked about microplastics, directly or indirectly. In fact, I'll put some links to those in the show notes, which you can find at teachmeaboutthegreatlakes.com/41 because this is episode 41. Our very first episode was microplastics with Sarah Zach and Carolyn, and then we had our microplastics draft earlier this year. We're always happy to talk plastic because unfortunately, it's everywhere, right? Well, unfortunately, microplastics. Plastic itself, it's more complicated than that. Yeah. Teach Me About the Great Lakes is brought to you by the fine people at Illinois Indiana Sea Grant. We encourage you to check out the great work that we do at iiseagrant.org and at ILIN Sea Grant on Facebook, Twitter, and other social media. I think we're doing more on our Insta lately, but I'm not positive. I stopped Instagramming once Facebook bought them, I'll be honest, but I think we're doing more on our Insta. Anyway, Teach Me About the Great Lakes is produced by Hope Charters, Carolyn Foley, Megan Gunn, and Renie Miles. Ethan Chitty is our associate producer and our fixer. Our super fun podcast artwork is by Joel Davenport. Joel, welcome back. The show is edited by the awesome Quinn Rose, who we gave plenty of work to this week, and I encourage you to check her out at aspiringrobot.com. If you have a question or comment about the show, send us an email, teachmeaboutthegreatlakes@gmail.com, or leave a message on our hotline at 765-496-IISG. That's 4474, and they did not charge us for that line. You can follow the show on Twitter at Teach Great Lakes, and I encourage you to do that and follow everybody that we follow because it is an interesting feed at this point. And thanks for listening, of course, and keep grading those lakes. I found out we got this digital piano for Christmas for the kids, quote unquote for the kids. And I found out that it also works as like a MIDI interface. And so then I got this new iPad for work, and I've been using it to, anyway, I've been having a lot of fun. So we're recording all new stuff, all new songs, even stupider than before.
Do the kids get to play with it at all?
Oh, they did, but their interest is not as high as mine, and they're not awake. The nice thing about the digital, I wanted a real piano, I still do, but it doesn't have a volume button. This thing, and it's got weighted keys, which is nice, so it's kind of like playing a piano, right? But it has a volume, so I can play it when I wake up at like 4:30, and not wake everybody up. So it's sweet.
I heard that very subtle air quotes around for work.
Yeah. No, I did get it for work, but the thing is, this is work, man. I'm getting paid to be here. I don't do this on Stuart time. This is critical outreach. Yeah. So sorry I couldn't get your paperwork done, Ethan. I had to record MIDI sounds to make a stupid transitional music for Teaching About the Great Lakes. But the thing is, if that's what the taxpayer demands, that's what I'm going to do.
Fair point.
It's what the audience wants.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. That is exactly what they want. No, to be clear, all of the stupidity I do on my time, but the recording I do on company time. But the stupidity is what, you got to have something. Life is hard, right?
You got to have a hook.
Yeah, you could do some stupidity on work time, especially if it's all about the work anyway.
There we go. We got to have some fun, right? That's actually with this podcast. That's something we talk about a lot is because it is a little different, I think, than a lot of, than like, what is that? What is the Purdue one? Welcome to Purdue or whatever.
Life at Purdue.
Life at Purdue, at the guy who yeah. And it's just very pro, but very scripted, right? welcome to Purdue, and or whatever, and it's fine, and it features all this stuff, and it's like everything that we're not, and that's okay. But what's nice about this is you got to have something creative and something fun at work, and so if it's not creative and fun, then it's drudgery, and who wants that? Yeah,
totally agree.